Hello and welcome to Coffee and Card with Linda from lindaspapercraft.co.uk, and we're in October 2024, and this month I'm using the sophisticated Sled bundle, so it's stamps and dies, and week one, yeah, it's Christmas. So this is the card we're making. So it's sort of seeing this all over Pinterest, this sort of faux door with a wreath on it, so I thought I'd have a play with the papers, which are, I have written them down, DSP Country Woods. So it's the country wood papers that go with the country bird house, and you are getting, so this is Pecan Pie I've used, so I've already prepped a wreath, but I'll show you how I've done that. And then I've got a piece of, this is Basic Beige, so it's a new colour that came with this year's annual catalogue, and a lot of people thought it was quite like Sahara Sand, but it's not. It's a lot lighter than Sahara Sand. So because originally I planned to use Very Vanilla, but I was on my last sheet, so we had to find another way and order some more Very Vanilla. So we're using the Basic Beige, so you've got a couple of pieces of that, one for the front, one for inside, and then a piece for stamping. And then I've given you a piece of the Country Woodland, I've already forgotten what it's called, I've got it written down, Country Woods, and I'll show you how to cut that to get the door. Okay, and then I've die cut you using, I'm sorry, I've got an itchy nose. So the die is from Something Fancy, which we have done as, I think we've done as a coffee and card. So some of you already got the die. So I've die cut one, but I've also popped a piece in for you to die cut your own, should you want to. Okay, and then an envelope, and you don't have a list of what the instructions are. That's just for me. So the Pecan Pie is an A6 book fold card, and all the measurements will be down at the bottom. I do that now so that you can make the card yourself. More than happy for you to make it, take it and put your own spin on it, or just make it as it is if you haven't got the kit. Right, I yabble. Let's get started. So I'm going to start with the door and get this. So this piece is 12.2 by 7.8, and that will give me 2mm gaps between the panels, and I just wanted squares at the top and then the rectangle at the bottom. So 7.8 divided by 2 is 3.9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trimmer and we're going to cut it at 3.9, so that is, we're cutting it lengthways, basically in half, so 3.9, and then I'm going to take the two pieces together, line them up, and then cut again at 3.9, and that will give me two identical squares for the top. You can cut them separately if you want. Okay, so that gives me the door pieces, so nice and easy. So cutting at 3.9 twice, and then we're going to glue these in place. So I'm not overly bothered whether they're lined up or not. In fact, they're not. It sort of makes it look like it's been made out of different pieces of wood if they don't line up, or you can keep them continuous if you want and line them up. It's up to you. Right, so a little bit of glue on the back. There we go. Okay. So how are your Christmas cards coming along? I've made a few, not enough. I need to get going. I usually start in July, and this year I just haven't. Just going to make that slightly wider. There we go. So it's about 2.5 to 2mm gap between all the pieces. And as I always say, this is a handmade card, not mass produced in China. So, and also you will be able to get your head over the top, so you'll be able to be more accurate. And depending on how demanding you are, I don't like things that don't line up, so I will take extra time over things like this normally, whereas if you're not that bothered, then just slap them on. Okay. There we go. And this one on the bottom. So this bit's quite quick, and you can then, I mean, you could use this as a background for all sorts of cards, and then use the change up your focal point as you wish. There we go. Faux doll. Excuse me, I have got the tag end of a horrible cold that we're beginning to think might have been COVID, because it's been yucky awful, and I've had it for over a week. Anyway, hopefully by the time this video comes out it'll have gone. Right, and then I'm just going to pop this on the front. And then we're going to decorate. And there we go. How cute is that? So really pleased with that. It looks really nice, and then you can add anything, and you don't need to go muted. You could go really bright, you could do whatever you like. So you've got another piece that's going to go on the inside, and then you've got this square, and this is for your stamping, and you are going to stamp the wreath and the boots, and they do fit on because I checked. And I'm stamping them in crumb cake. You could stamp them in grey granite. You could stamp them in any colour you wanted, really. So I have used alcohol inks. Now, if you're using water-based pens, you're best stamping it in Memento Black, because that doesn't run. If you stamp with our water-based inks and then colour in using water-based pens, they will run. So whereas Memento Black, it doesn't matter whether you're using water-based or alcohol pens, it doesn't run. So, and then I'm just going to put my wreath in the top hand corner there. There we go. So I was really torn with this, whether to colour or not to colour. And I decided it just lifted it a little bit. So the colours I've used here, now I've used Pool Party because this is what this colour is, but you can use any sort of greens and reds that you want. So I've used on here Light and Dark Pool Party, yeah, Light Lost Lagoon and Light Real Red. Okay, and then I've coloured in the skates with Dark Smoky Slate. So I'm not going to bother colouring it in, but here it is. This is how I've done it. Okay, so you can see I've used the difference. So that's Light Pool Party, that's Lost Lagoon, that's Dark Pool Party, and then that's the red. And it just gives it a bit of texture using the three different greens, or greeny blues as they are. And then I'm just going to colour in the blades of my skates here. So if you're making the card as we're going along, it's probably a good idea just to press pause and get your wreath coloured in. And then we'll cut them out. Okay. Because I'm by no means an expert colourer. So I literally just colour. I don't do any fancy shading or anything like that. So I'm just going to stamp my sentiment as well. I'm just going to move it off camera to stamp it so I can see it properly. There you go. Okay. So I just lined it up with the middle of the sentiment there. And as I say, you've got spare, so if it didn't quite line up, you can cut round it, or you can use one of your own dies. So either cut round it with scissors or use one of your own dies to cut it out. Right, so let's get these sorted. I'll just get my little machine, which I've got here. Where there we go. And we are going to cut out, so I'm going to cut out first of all the wreath that I've already made, and I have some die tape here from Craft Perfect die tape, and I need the dies. So an ongoing problem with wreath dies is lining them up. It's always fun trying to find where they go, and I think I can see a little bit of a triangle there and a little bit of a triangle there, and is that lining up? No. So it is a case of, so then if that bump oh, where is it gonna, like I say, it is the pain of all wreath dies. It's trying to work out where they line up. And somebody who has worked it out is now yelling at the screen saying, Linda, it's that way. Okay, so if you put your 3 at the top and 4 at the side, you're going diagonally like that. Okay, so that is where it goes. And I find if I line up a few of the leaves around the outside, I am there or thereabouts. And there we go. Of course, you should get your tape off first before you line it up, particularly when you've got these silly nails or are being done later today. So not only are they silly nails, they're too long. They're my YouTube nails. Right, so I am going to pop that on there, pop that down and cut it out. There we go. Again, someone else asked me the other day, if your plates on your mini machine are too tight, don't use the white plate, use the embossing plate rather than the cutting plate, because it's a little bit thinner and it just, things go through a little bit easier. You can still emboss with it as well, surprisingly, but my wheels are obviously a little bit tight, so I'm just going to loosely cut round these skates, because obviously I don't need to cut another wreath out. And I'm going to use the same piece, so I'll get the dies, which is here. Okay, and again I'm going to show you. So this time what I do is I line up the bow and the blades. So it's B and B. Line up the bow and then make sure the blades are lined up as well. And when you're happy, stick your tape on. Now when I'm doing this, normally I don't do it in mid-air like this, I do it with my head over the die cutting machine so I can see what I'm doing, but I can't do that while I've got my camera in place. Just going to swing over a wee bit at the bottom. There was too much, there was a gap at the front of the boots and you want it to be lined up with your stamped image. Okay, go, 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 go. There we go. Okay, and I shall pop this away. Clump, clump. Here we go. And so we've got our skates ready to go. Pop those all away. Out of the way, and let's just finish off making the card. So how beautiful is that? Right, so I'm just going to start by putting this at the tops. I'm treating myself to a new pack of dimensionals because I have used all the bones of all the ones that I had left. So I've got a brand new pack. Okay. Right. So let's just pop some dimensionals on here. The big ones work fine on this wreath. They just seem to be made for this wreath. Or maybe this wreath was made for the big dimensionals. I'll do 4. There we go. Hanging over is just a wee bit. I'm just going to move that one because it was just hanging over the edge. Just gently lifting it and twisting it. There we go. So until you've really pressed down firmly on these, they are still quite flexible. Once you press down firmly, you have to cut them in half that way to get them off. Right, okay, so I'm just going to pop that at the top of my door, like that, and then I'm going to get my boots and put a couple of dimensionals on these. So that's 1, that's 2, and then I'm going to put some glue just below the bow, okay? So if you can see from my card, the bow is slightly into the middle of the wreath. So, okay, pop those off. Oops, banged my head on the... I bet my screen is all crooked. Yes! That's the die cutting machine has done that. Okay, and then I'm going to hang my skates from my wreath, and then we're going to finish off with the sentiment. There you go. So these literally just fit on, so if you want to use the little ones, you might be better. As long as you do them that way, they fit. And then just going to pop that on the right way up in the corner there. And that's a really nice simple card to send to somebody. And then on the inside, I did stamp it. What we're doing. Oh, hope your days are filled with fun and laughter. I like that. Let's find it again. So that's at the top here. Put that out. Pop it on a block if I can find a block. There we go. And what I try and do is put it straight on the paper, put my block straight with the paper, and then it should stamp fairly straight. We just need to work out what's the top. There's the top. I'm just going to stamp my sentiment. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Do put a thumbs up if you have. It all helps with the algorithm and more people get to see my cards. And any comments are more than welcome. I do try to get back to all the comments. I do read them all and try and reply to them. So, and it really makes it worthwhile when you're getting feedback when they tell you there is somebody who I'm going to have to name check her on the next one. Oh, I can't remember her name. Sorry if it's you that keeps sending me beautiful comments about my cards. Thank you
It's
so
okay.
much. Really? He seems to have forgotten that he has to be called Siri before he can start talking. There we go. Okay, so there we are. So that's this week's card. So I look forward to seeing you next week when we will be again working with this set. So take care. See you soon. Bye.